Keep that away from Jack.
Folks,
Without that, didn't we?
this is an airplane.
I know.
Anyone that was at the biplane bash might remember the raffle. And I had two little grandkids there with a bunch of tickets, and every ticket that was pulled, they go, ah! It's not possible they could have just missed on every one of those calls. But they were putting on a show, and when it came down to this last box of junk that was sitting on the grass, Jerry Yarish said, do I have the vote to give this box of old airplane parts to these kids? And everybody cheered. And off my little grandson with this box of airplane parts. And what he did was he put it together, he put the wing on and the stabilizer rudder on, he showed it to me, and he says, what do you think? And I said, well, really what it is, apparently it's a kite. Because it had a little hook here and you hook string onto it, and I guess you run with it or something. And there's a mechanism inside it with a camera, because it's supposed to be a U-2 airplane. There's a hole in the bottom with the camera lens stuck through, and you wound this thing up, and it had 127 roll film in it, and I guess it just took pictures sequentially after so many seconds. Once you had it up in the air, it was a time mechanism. So I said to him, well, what you got basically is a kite. If you'd like to make an electric airplane that flies, I'll do that for you. And he got all excited. Little did I know what I was really in for. So what I did was I cut off the nose and put a firewall on, and I ravaged a Super Cub and put that geared motor on the front. And then I looked at it and said, well, obviously I'm going to have to put the stabilizer way, way back instead of here, because this has to move. So I took a straight edge and I cut this and cut this here, so we'd have movable surfaces. And then I looked at it for weight and balance, and it was real nose heavy with the motor up front. So I put all the electronic stuff back here, and the battery mounts right underneath the wing. So now it actually balances where it's supposed to. I didn't know what to do about a landing gear, and I saw a plane that John had that I thought was pretty clever the way he did it. So I made something similar out of a coat hanger, and it's sprung with these elastics fore and aft. The front is a water bottle as a cowling, painted on the inside, and it's just held together by a wooden dowel. And then I put dowels in here because I was told, Don Button told me you put the landing gear right under the leading edge of the wing. So we put it there, put a dowel through. The canopy is nothing more than a water bottle cut out and molded to fit. And I gave him a pilot and he painted it up. And then I got some decals and put them through a copy machine so they'd be about the right size, because you can enlarge or make them smaller. And put a control system in it, and I went out to the field, and Don Button, broken hand and all, was drooling to see if he could get this in the air. And it was a little windy, and we found out that it would take off, but he said you don't have half enough rudder to control it. So Dave said he'd give me a piece of foam that I would just add on so that the rudder maybe comes out to here, because Don says you can never have enough rudder. And it's got to be the silliest looking thing in the world, but I found out from our mentor Don that it will fly. So my little grandson wanted to take it home and hang it up, but I wanted to bring it for show and tell. And Don wanted to fly today, but I was afraid we might not have a show and tell. So, so I thought tomorrow, the next day, something like that. But I do know one thing. You might not want to loop this thing or anything like that, because it's sort of, notice, like the real airplane.
Put some strapping tape on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, put some strapping tape on the bottom.
That might work. Well,
It'll help.
It'll keep it from breaking.
and there was a piece of wing missing, so I cut out a piece of foam and put that back in. Well, anyway, this is what it looks like. It's sort of silly looking. But
Is all that down thrust to overcome the high incidence on the wing?
what do I know about this stuff? He got it this high off, John got it this high off the ground before he figured you better not go any further. So I don't know about any of that stuff. It's got down and to the right. Whether it's enough or it's too little, washers can change it. But This is what Jerry Yarish gave to my grandson, and
Poor guy.
I'm sure he'd be very proud to see it now.
And what do you call it?
A piece of junk.
POJ.
I don't know, we haven't named it yet. I suppose.
You just named it.
Yeah, it's a
Call it the
POJ, POJ
What?
special.
Call it the POJ.
Yeah, POJ special.
Junkie.
POJ special.
My grandson's gleaming at this, he has no idea, he's 8 years old.
Oh, that's great.
He gave me $2.50 worth of junk, and it's got $100 worth of electronics in it. Anyway,
As Arnie Johnson would say, very interesting.
now one thing, Jack, you know, every time you fondle this, what Jack told me when he first saw this is
It
that,
reminds me of somebody I used to go with for a year and a half.
and here it was on the table, and he's doing this with it. And I'm watching this, and I'm saying, And you know, I just know there's such a crying, a yearning for this, so Jack, you shouldn't be separated.
Thank you very much. I will cherish that. Now, is this yours or just one like it?
What's that?
Is this yours or one like it?
No, that's yours. That's the one that you've been fondling for a month.
I'll call you and you can explain this to my wife when I take it home.
Oh, one thing,